Date right now is July 16th, 2008. It's about 13:20 hours. We're at Universal Studios. I'm here with Sergeant Allen. I'm here with Detective Happy Wells. Also here with Casey Anthony. And Casey, we talked earlier this morning, and we're working a case looking for your daughter Caylee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We came here to Universal Studios. We're sitting in a little conference room. Obviously the door isn't locked. We just closed it so we could have a little bit of privacy and talk to you. And a couple more questions came up that we need to ask you about. Remember how I opened this whole thing in the morning?
Yeah.
By saying that we need to get the complete truth and the snowball effect and how it goes? Okay. We're about halfway down that hill, 3/4 down that hill, and it's a pretty big snowball, which means that there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I can tell you just for certainty that everything you've told me so far has been a lie. I can tell you with a certainty, and let me explain why. Since I left you this morning, I've gone to every address that you've told me. I've looked up every name. I've talked to every person that you wanted me to talk to or tried to. I've reached out. I've talked to your ex-boyfriend. I've talked to Amy. I've talked to Tony. I came over here. I've already talked to all the employees. I found out all these names that you're giving me are people that either never worked here or have been fired here for a long time ago. Okay, so where we are right now is in a position that doesn't look very good for you. And this is going to be your escape hatch, so to speak. Okay, this is going to be the point where you stop all the lies and you stop all the fibs and you tell us exactly what's going on. I'm just being straight with you. Because obviously I know and you know that everything you told me is a lie, correct?
Not everything that I told you.
Okay. Pretty much everything that you've told me, including where Caylee is right now.
That I don't know where she is.
Sure you do. And here's
absolutely
listen,
do not know where she
let me explain something. Together, combined experience in this room, we all have about 30 years of doing this. Okay, both myself and Sergeant John Allen worked for the Homicide Division for several years. We've dealt with several people. We've conducted thousands of interviews between the three of us. Happy's got 20 years, so just between the three of us, we've got several years. And I can tell you for a certainty that right now, looking at you, I know that everything that you've told me is a lie, including the fact that your child was last seen about a month ago, and that you don't know where she is. See, I'm very confident, just by having talked to you this short period of time, that you know where she is.
I don't.
You do. And here's the thing, we need to get past that, because we can sit here and go back and forth all day long about I don't, I do, I don't, I do. It's pretty obvious that with everything that you've told us, nothing has been truth. You know where she is. Now, my question to you is this. We need to find Caylee. I understand that right now, Caylee may not be in very good shape. You understand what I'm saying? She may not be the way your family last remembers her. We need to find out from you where Caylee is. This right now is this is going so far downhill, and this has become such a mess that we need to end it. It's very simple. We just need to end it.
I agree with you. I have no clue where she is.
Sure you do.
If I knew in any sense where she was, this wouldn't have happened at all. It wouldn't have happened whatsoever.
This stuff about Zanny, the caretaker or the nanny taking care of him,
it's the truth.
It's not the truth, because it went to the apartment complex. There's no person that ever lived there by that name. The apartment's been vacant since March. That same apartment. Now the apartment that you pointed out to me, the 2-story apartment, that's an old folks home. It's right across the street from your ex-boyfriend's house, who you never mentioned. And you said you wrote the address down because it was across the street. That's a lie, because I've already talked to him, and we've already been by the house, and we've already looked at everything we need to look at over there. Everything you told us is a lie. Well, now there's a couple of ways that this goes. Right now, we can, I've never met you before, so I can look at you in one of a couple of ways. I can look at you as a person who's scared, who's concerned, and who's kind of afraid of what's going to happen because of something bad that happened before. Or we can look at you as cold, callous, and a monster who doesn't care, who's just trying to get away with something something bad that happened and trying to cover it up. It's going to be one of those two options. Now, from what I've already talked to you, okay, you seem like a very bright young lady. You don't seem like someone who has no education. All right. Now, what we have to do is we have to determine which way is this going to go. Are you a person who's scared about the consequences of what happened? Or are you scared about something that happened? Or are you really this cold, callous person who doesn't care about what happened? It's one of these two options.
I'm scared that I don't know where my daughter is. I would not have put my entire family.
Hold on. I want to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Like you said, you seem like a pretty bright person. Okay, you're here willingly, right? You're here because you're here to try to help, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Your whole reason for talking to us is to try to help, right? Nobody's forced you to talk to us, right?
No.
You want us to. You're here because you called. You want us to help find your daughter, right? Now let me ask you something. I want you to put yourself in somebody else. Put yourself in my shoes for a minute, okay? Since you talked to him this morning in an attempt to try to help find your daughter, you've given him bad addresses, okay? You drove me all the way out here. We walked from the gate back here on the way to your office, right? Okay? To an office that you don't have. We got all the way into the building, into the hallway out here before you finally says, well, I really don't have an office here. But up till then, we were walking to your office, right? Okay, so does any of this make sense to you?
I understand how long that sounds.
No. Here's the problem with that, though. Okay? You can carry the weight of this around for a long time. It's not going to get any easier, okay? What he's trying to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you, in the amount of time that I've done this, almost 30 years now, okay? I've learned this. People make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. All the three of us have all made some mistakes in our lives. We've done some things we're not proud of, okay? But then there comes a point in time you either own up to it, you say you're sorry, you try to get past it, or you lie about it and you bury it, and you lie about it and you bury it, and you lie about it and you bury it, and it just never, ever, 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 ever goes away, okay? That's it, okay? Now, I want you to stop and think about what's going on here, okay? At this point, we can explain that you're afraid, that you were ashamed of maybe something bad that happened, you were afraid maybe it would happen. But now that we're giving you this opportunity and you continue to lie and you continue to lie, then what happens at some point it becomes, there's no excuse, there's no reason, there's no reasonable person to look at us and go, wow, this is a person who really just doesn't care. Okay? I mean, think about what we've done so far, okay? You say you call us because you want our help, you want us to find your daughter, okay? I'm calling you and I'm asking you for help. I'm asking you to help me find my child that's been gone now for a month, okay? And to help you help me find the child, what I've done to this point is I've given you a bunch of bad addresses to go look at, addresses that don't exist, okay? Then I take you to a place where I tell you that I work, okay? And I walk you past the security gate, okay, on the way to my office that I don't have, okay? You start to get the picture? Or do you understand where we're headed here?
I understand.
Okay? Now, you're, by hiding this, by burying this, okay, you are not going to get yourself to a better place, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to cause everybody else around you to suffer, okay? And then at some point, this is going to come out. It always does. It always comes out, okay? Now, your best bet is to try to put this behind you as quickly as you can. Go to your parents and tell them, some horrible accident, whatever happened, get it out in the open now, okay? Instead of letting them worry, okay? How old are you?
22.
At some point, okay, you're going to want to mend things with your family, okay? You let this drag out for another 3 days, another week, another 2 weeks, okay? You make us solve this some other way, and we'll solve it. We always do, okay? Okay? I mean, there's no point in coming forward to say, oh my God, this is what really happened, once we figured it out, okay? You ever had anybody do anything wrong to you? Everybody hurt you in any way, okay? Let me ask you a question. When somebody's hurt you in the past, and they've come to you and said, I'm sorry, okay? I'm from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry for what happened. Do you forgive them?
Yeah.
What about somebody that does something to you and then lies and lies and lies and lies and lies? You forgive them?
It's a lot harder too sometimes.
A lot harder too? Tell me the last time somebody hurt you over and over and let you suffer for a period of time and then lied about it, and then you caught them, okay? Well, once you caught them, that apology didn't mean a hell of a lot, did it?
No.
Okay? All right? Right now, your best bet is to just get it out in the open, whatever happened, and tell us now, okay? So we can kind of start getting past this. Try to help you explain, okay? Because keep in mind, you're talking to people. There's nothing you're going to tell any of the three of us that's going to surprise us, okay? I've had to sit down with mothers who rolled over in their babies accidentally. I've had to sit down with mothers whose kids have drowned in swimming pools. I've had to sit down with mothers who had boyfriends who beat their kids to death, who felt horrible about what happened, and I've had to go to them and help them try to explain to their families, okay? And then I've also had to deal with people who have done horrible, unspeakable things to children and then lied about it and lied about it and lied about it, okay? And I'll bet you somewhere in there I've probably dealt with somebody who maybe made a mistake but continued to lie about it. Maybe they weren't such a bad person, but maybe the whole world didn't see it that way. Maybe their family didn't see it that way because they kept lying about it. And then when finally came, and then months down the road, or days down the road, when they finally decided to come forward, okay, people were past it. You've told me that you've lied to me for the last time. I don't listen to what you have to say. Don't talk to me anymore, okay? Mm-hmm. We've had to we've had to go into court and try to help people explain situations. And we've had to go into court at times and say, the person just never said. They kept lying to us and kept lying to us and lying to us and lying to us, okay? We're all human beings, okay? Mm-hmm. You tell me. I mean, you're a smart person. Figure it out, okay? So far, well, the only thing that we can say for sure at this point, okay, is that you have lied to him about all these things. Mm-hmm. You brought us here, okay? All right? Now, I want you to look at this from an outsider's perspective. Somebody somewhere down the road that may have to decide, how this all plays out. Mm-hmm. What would you do? How would you see that person? How would you see that person different than you might see somebody, maybe a young mother who made a mistake and, maybe initially was afraid to tell the truth, but at some point came forward and said, horrible thing happened. I'm sorry. I feel terrible about it, but I have to tell you.
Mm-hmm. The horrible thing that happened, and this is the honest to God's truth of everything that I've said, I do not know where she is. The last person that I saw her with is Zanny. She's the last person that I've seen my daughter with.
And see, here's the problem. I think Sergeant Allen's trying to get to this, is that we know that's not the truth. We know. Listen.
Is.
We know that that's not true. That can't be the truth, because if that were the truth, everything you would have told us would have been on the money. The addresses you would have taken us would have been on the money. Everything else would have matched. If you had told us the truth, we wouldn't be here at Universal Studios, at a place that you've been fired since 2006. With you trying to explain to us, you have an office and all that stuff. We wouldn't be here. So we know, and this is the part we need to get past. We already know that you're not telling us the truth. That you know what happened to Caylee, and you know where Caylee is. But here's what we're trying to get by, is that you fall into one of two categories, and I'm sure he explained it and I explained it. Is that if this is something an accident that happened, and no matter how you think people are going to look at you, they're going to look at you a lot worse if you continue showing that you're callous or not caring, and that you just show complete dispassion and disregard for human life. Mm-hmm. Or they can look at you as someone that, I can understand. I'm a young mother, or she's a young mother, first child, something horrible happened. She's thinking, oh my God, my life isn't going good right now. I already know my life is struggling. People don't see me in that great of a light. I know I got problems at home, and I've got problems with friends, I know I got problems at work or lack of work. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, something bad happens to my child, and people are going to think, I'm just a devil. See, there's a difference between this person who makes a mistake and says, listen, I'm sorry, this is the reason I lied to you, this is the reason I was scared, compared to the person who might sit here and say, I have no idea what you're talking about. There's a big difference there. And I can tell you now that everything you've told me is a lie. Everything that you've told me this morning, from Zanny, from the addresses, from Universal, from all these people that you've talked to, including people that you never told me who their names, and I found them and talked to them. Mm-hmm. Everything that you've told me this morning is a lie. Every single thing. There's one of two options right now. You need to tell me the truth, and we can work with that. Mm-hmm. Or if you continue down this path and continue lying, I can tell you that when this snowball gets to the bottom of the hill, the only person that's going to get hurt in it is you.
That's not true. A lot of people around you get hurt.
Your parents.
A lot of people are hurting right now. And
you know what? One person put a stop to that.
I've been trying.
You haven't been trying.
Wait a minute. Okay. Let's go through this again, okay? Stop me at the part that I say that's not true, okay? Mm-hmm. I want to go through this, and I want you to stop me at the part that isn't the truth, okay? Mm-hmm. You take your daughter and you drop her off on June the 9th, okay, at a babysitter's house, okay? Now, this is a babysitter that lives at this apartment, okay, that's been
I
vacant.
dropped her off at that apartment,
Okay.
at
With-
those stairs.
Or you just walked her, you dropped her off
I
and...
walked her to the stairs. That's where I've dropped her off a bunch of other times, besides just that day.
Okay, and when you dropped her off, who took her at that point?
Zanny did. She took her
Okay,
at
so
that
you
point.
left her in Zanny's care on June the 9th. Okay? So far that's right.
Yes.
Okay? You first call the police about this when your mother and father, okay, actually you don't call the police to report your daughter, Nelson. What happens is your parents find their car that's been towed from Amscott, and your parents ask you where your daughter is, and you tell your daughter, or your parents, that you haven't seen your daughter for over a month, right? That's true, okay? So I haven't told anything, so far I haven't said anything that's not true, okay?
That's
That's
all
true,
true.
okay? That's true, that sounds reasonable to you, correct? Okay? When the police do get involved, okay, when your parents involve the police in an attempt to locate your child because they're worried, the first thing you do, okay, is you lie to the detective whose job it is to try to find your daughter and get her back into safe hands, okay? You give him all kinds of bad addresses to look at, right? Okay? So far I'm on track, correct? Okay? Then you bring us out to Universal where you say you work in an office to try to help find stuff that will help us find your daughter. I'm on track so far, okay? And we get here, we walk all the way down the hall to where you tell us you don't really work here. You don't have an office here, okay? So far everything I've said is true, correct? Okay? Now that sounds reasonable to you, okay? I'm telling you this story. I'm saying to you, listen, I dropped my child off 5 weeks ago at the babysitter's house. She's just disappeared. Now, I didn't call the police and tell them. Matter of fact, I made some attempts to locate her on my own, but I didn't really get the police involved or, do anything like that, okay? And, oh, by the way, I got my mom and dad's car towed, and then when my parents asked me what happened to my daughter, I told them I hadn't seen her in 5 weeks. So they called the police, okay? Now, what I did is I lied to the police when they got there, okay? I told them a whole bunch of crap that isn't true, gave them a bunch of bad addresses to go look at where I know that my daughter's not there. And I did all this to try to help find my daughter. Makes sense to you, right? That makes sense to you? It makes sense to you that I'm trying to help the police find my daughter by giving them a bunch of bad addresses? That makes sense to you?
That's what I said. Yes.
No, I'm asking you. That makes sense to you. My attempt,
That part of it,
okay,
no, not
my
at all.
attempt to help him find my child, okay, what I've done to try to help him find my child is I've given him a whole bunch of addresses to go to that are bad addresses. That's what I did to help him try to find my child. That makes sense to you?
I took him to the last place that I've seen my daughter. Besides that, I took them to other places that I've
Okay, when you
seen
Caylee,
Caylee.
when you brought us here to go look in your office, that was supposed to help us how? Because everything we're doing here is about finding your daughter, okay? So I want you, okay, to explain to me how coming here to go to an office that you don't have, I want you to tell me how that's helping us find your daughter. Because every bit of focus right now, okay, you got 3 people here to try to help you. That's what we're here to try to help you find your daughter, okay? All right? And we came here to look for clues, to look for evidence that will help us find your daughter, okay? Now I want you to tell me how that's helping find your daughter. We're here to come search your office for anything that will help us, okay? And we're here because you brought us here, right? Now I want you to tell me how that's helping us find your daughter.
It's not.
But everything we're doing is to find your daughter. That's the most important thing to know to you right now, right?
Kaylee's been up here. Maybe we can talk to security to see if she's come through the front. I know she's come to the park. She's gone to Disney. She's been at SeaWorld. She's been at other places.
Let's go back to
It's
we're
a
here.
backwards way of looking.
And why do you think it's backwards? It's backwards because you haven't been truthful with us, okay?
Because I've been reaching.
You've been reaching, huh?
I've been reaching to try to figure out a place where she actually is.
So, once again, okay, because you never did answer my question, you're reaching and helping find her by bringing us here to this office that you don't have is helping us find her how? Because what you're doing right now is you're doing everything you can to find your daughter. You have 3 experienced detectives right now whose sole focus is here to help you find your daughter, okay? And we're here because you brought us here, correct?
Absolutely.
You directed us here because we're going to your office to find evidence that will help us find her, okay? Now that we're here, I want you to tell me how that's helping. What is it we're doing here? What's helping us right now, okay? We've come to an office that doesn't exist.
It's not helping.
So why'd you do it?
Honestly, I wanted to come up and try to talk to security. Maybe pass around a picture of Caylee. I legitimately have not seen my daughter in 5 weeks. I didn't let anything happen to her, except I trusted her with somebody. Somebody that had been taking care of her, that had been taking good care of her. Someone that she was comfortable with, that I was comfortable with.
What about Jeff? You said Jeff worked here until about 2 months ago?
No, he hasn't worked here for quite a while.
10 months? How long?
It's been at least 10 months.
Okay. He got fired in 2002. He hasn't been an employee here since 2002. And what about the girl?
Juliet?
Yeah, what about her?
She left 2 months ago. That's exactly what she had told me.
Juliet Lewis never worked at Universal Studios.
I'm sorry. Is the baby's daddy actually dead?
It's a good question. What are we going to find?
Would your
I still have a copy of the obituary at home.
I mean, you've told us so many untruths right now. I'm confused. Would your parents be upset if you had given the baby back to the daddy to take back for his grandparents, or for his parents to take care of?
He passed away last year. We hadn't even talked much before that.
So let me ask you this. Is the obituary in your office?
No. I think I have a copy of the obituary at home. There's no office, so there's no anything anywhere. We've made that clear already.
Right.
So if I have a copy of it still, it would be on my computer at home. I'm pretty sure I kept that. I don't think that's something I would have gotten rid of.
Zanny has never worked here. How do you explain that?
She has an ID. She has an ID with her name on it.
Just like you have an ID?
I do have an ID somewhere at my house. Both of my parents have seen it. Both of my parents know that I've worked here. I used to have an office.
Now, just like you have an office?
No, I don't have an office now.
Okay.
And we're here to go to what? To do what? We're here because what?
Try and put things together.
No, we're here in this building because we put a lot more together than I think you realize we put together. My question to you is, we're in this office because we got here how? To do what? Our purpose in coming here was to do what? Go where?
I guess there wasn't a purpose. There wasn't a purpose whatsoever to come up here.
So we're wasting time, valuable time, that ought to be spent looking for your daughter.
I'm trying to think of places where I know she's been.
You're not answering my question. Do you want us to help?
Yes,
you want to help us find your daughter?
I do want you to
Well,
help.
then you need to help. Then a good starting point would be to answer the questions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I say to you, we're here because, and then you just ignore that, like as if I never asked it, and go off in some other direction, is that answering the question?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's go through this again. We're here because. We got here how? To do what?
Because I lied. Because I brought you up here. And honestly, I was reaching for
No, stop
another
right
avenue.
there. I want you to tell me how lying to us is going to help us find your daughter.
It's not going to.
Huh?
It's not going to.
Well, then if the main thing you want to do is find your daughter, and you don't think lying to us is going to help us find her, why would you do that?
Because I'm scared. And I know I'm running out of options. It's been a month.
What are you scared of?
I'm scared of not seeing my daughter ever again.
Okay,
I'm
if you're scared of not seeing your daughter again, okay, I want you to tell me how lying to us is going to solve that problem and help find your daughter quicker. Because if that's what you want, okay, obviously you're doing things to help us find your daughter, right? And I want you to tell me how lying to us is getting to that end. How is lying to us helping find your daughter faster?
It isn't.
Then why would you do that?
But saying I don't know and telling you that I just dropped her off and that was the last time that I've seen her, even starting with that, everybody else is like, well, and what happened after that? That can't just be it.
You remember the phone call you were telling us about?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes.
Did you actually talk? What day was it you talked to her?
Yesterday,
You remember what time of day?
around noon. It was from a private number.
Okay. And what'd she tell you? What'd your daughter say to you?
She said, hi, Mommy.
And that's it?
And she started to tell me a story, talking to me about her shoes and books. And
It's important that you tell me. I mean, maybe there's something in what she said that can help us figure out where she is. What did she say?
I tried to ask her where she was, and she just kept talking about the book that she's been reading. We have videos of her reading the story, and she's telling me the story.
So
like
she seemed happy, and she seemed happy,
seemed
and
fine.
She seemed fine,
She
seemed
seemed
happy.
perfectly fine. There was nothing in the background.
Telling you about a book, telling you seen no sign of any type of stress at all.
Not at all.
Great, that's wonderful. Let me ask you a question. Your daughter hasn't seen you in over a month, and she's not.
She was excited. She was excited, to talk to me. But at the same time, it's crazy that she didn't get upset when she talked to me. Which, had it been my mom, I know it would have been
Is that another
totally
thing that
different.
makes sense to you?
She never gets upset when she talks to me. Whether I haven't seen her for an entire day, or if I had to work late at night and I didn't see her almost an entire day until the next morning.
The last time somebody took her and you didn't see her for 5 weeks was when?
Never.
Okay. Now, you haven't seen her in 5 weeks. She's not seen you in 5 weeks.
No.
Okay? She's been with this woman or somebody for 5 weeks. Hasn't been to her own home, hasn't seen her mother in 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't upset her. She was fine. She's talking about the book. I mean, is all that stuff you're saying true,
She's
right?
always been like that, though. I don't understand how.
Okay, but I'm getting back. Let's get back to you say this has never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
She's never not seen you for 5 weeks. But now after 5 weeks of not seeing her mother, not talking to her mother, okay, she finally talks to her mother for 5 weeks. You ask her where she is. You begin asking her these questions, and she just wants to talk about the book. She's happy. She's not worried. Doesn't seem upset.
She's always like that. You can even ask my mom. She's the same
Okay,
way.
let me go back to when was the last time you didn't see her for 5 weeks? When was the last time something like this happened where she was gone and you didn't see her for 5 weeks? The last time this happened was when?
Never.
Okay, so this is the first time, okay?
This is the first time I've been away from her for more than a day.
Okay. The first time you've ever been away from her for more than a day, and she wasn't the least bit upset.
No.
When you talked to her on the phone.
She wasn't the least bit upset when I talked
She
to her.
went on about, I miss you, Mommy, none of that. She talked, like you said, she talked about the book and all that stuff, right? That's it?
And when I asked her to give the phone to another adult, to somebody else, she was fine. She was willing to do it, but the phone hung up. She doesn't hang up phones. I know.
And that's the phone she called you on, your cell phone?
Yes.
Can I see that real quick? What are you doing?
Now, if this is the first time she's ever been gone away from me for more than a day, I'm a parent too. I would have been just beside myself.
I have been.
I would have called the police immediately, and that's the part that I just don't understand. Well,
I
we've
didn't know
got so
what
many
to do.
resources out there that we could help on day one.
You didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, they haven't been gone that long. Maybe I can find them. Maybe I can track them down.
They
That
haven't been
first
gone that-
day.
They haven't been gone that long.
That
This is
first-
yesterday, right?
No, that very first day that all of this happened, that I went to pick up Caylee and she wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, my thought is that they went out to do something for a little bit. Maybe I just missed a phone call. Maybe
Right.
I didn't get the call or the text message. Maybe something fell through the crack. That's happened before.
But now
All the time.
right, I understand all that, okay? I want you to focus on what we're doing here, okay?
Mhm.
All right? Because I want to make sure we get this right. After having not seen your daughter for 5 or heard from, or not knowing your daughter was for 5 weeks, she calls you on the phone. You have a conversation with her where she talks about the books and all this other stuff. And then you ask her to speak to an adult, and then she hangs up. Or the phone hangs up, okay? Correct?
She can't.
Well, hold on. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. You have this conversation with her after not seeing or hearing from her for 5 weeks. The phone call's terminated. You don't get a chance to talk to an adult, okay? The very next thing you do after that is what? Call the police, because now something really strange has happened, so you must have called the police right after that. Did you call the city police, or do you remember who you called? Which police agency did you call yesterday?
I didn't call anybody at noon after I got that phone call. I
You
sat
didn't-
down.
You didn't think that was odd? You didn't think this?
I thought it was extremely odd.
But not odd enough to call the police and try to get help.
Let me throw something in if you don't mind.
Sure.
Rick is at the office, and Mick's finishing up the interview, and that was actually Mick calling me. You know Ricardo, right? Obviously your ex-boyfriend. We brought him down to the office, and he's been talking to a couple of our detectives down there. And he was able to help us because he's telling us something obviously completely different than what you're telling us. And I was just able to tell him that he pulled the surveillance camera from the video across the street at that old folks home that you drove me by.
Mhm.
And we're going to get it enhanced to see if we could actually get some good detail on pictures and faces. But Ricardo was saying that you spent the night with him on the 9th and left on the 10th. And this is being corroborated right now, which again shows that you're continuously lying about the 9th being the day that
I
Zanny
stayed
actually picked him
over
up.
at his house on the 9th of this month, not of last month. I was not at his place the 9th of that month.
So you stayed at your ex-boyfriend's house on the 9th of this month, when you're staying at your other boyfriend's house, Tony, the rest of the month?
He'd been out of town, so I was staying over at another friend's place while he was gone. I wasn't staying at his apartment. I was staying with Amy and Ricardo and JP. JP and Ricardo own the house.
So why didn't you tell us you were staying there? We drove right by the house this morning, didn't we, when we went to the... Okay, and you're putting it this old folks' home, which is another lie, right? Because Zanny never lived there. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why were you pointing at this old folks' home and saying Zanny lived there at one point when she didn't?
Because she had gone there before. I'd seen her there.
She went to the old folks' home?
Yes.
But you never dropped your kid off to her at an old folks' home. You never went into the old folks' home and went to an apartment with her.
No.
Yet across the street from this old folks' home, right there in Glenwood, is where Ricardo lives, with Amy and JP, all of whom are at our station talking to our detectives right now. So obviously, we're not stupid, okay? And what you're doing right now is you're treating us like we're stupid, and which I take that, to be a personal insult. I can't speak for them. Here's where it comes down to. None of us are sitting here believing what you're saying, because everything that's coming out of your mouth is a lie. Everything. And unless we start getting the truth, we're going down two possibilities with Caylee. Either you gave Caylee to someone and you don't want anyone to find out because you think you're a bad mom, or something happened to Caylee and Kaylee's buried somewhere or in a trash can somewhere, and you had something to do with it. Either way right now is not a very pretty picture to be painting. Either way right now, with everything that you're telling us, you're painting yourself as a very bad person. Your family's going to suffer for this. Your friends are going to suffer for this. And remember what I told you about all these people coming out? They're going to crucify you for this because of all the lies that you've been telling us. We need to stop that right now. Everything you've told us is a lie. You're looking me in the eyes. You're looking at everything you told us is a lie. Every single thing. And you can't keep sitting here and telling us the same thing and getting constantly over and over and over again. We're disproving everything that you're telling us. You're telling us that you've lied to us. You're telling us you're giving us misinformation. Everything you're telling us. Okay? It needs to end.
The truthful thing is that I have not seen my daughter. The last time that I saw her was on the 9th of June.
And what happened to Caylee?
I don't know.
Sure you do.
Don't know.
Something happened to Caylee. We're not going to discuss whether the last time you saw her. I'm guessing something bad happened to her some time ago and you haven't seen her. So that part is true if you say you haven't seen her, because she's somewhere else right now.
She's someone else.
No, she's either in a dumpster right now, she's buried somewhere, she's out there somewhere, and her rotten body is starting to decompose because of what you're telling us. And here's the problem. The longer this goes, the worse it's going to be for everyone. Everyone. The worse it's going to be for everyone. Right now, everything you've told us, we've locked you into a lie. Every single thing that you've told us has been a lie. We're proving all that. Now, right now, it's going to be one of two things. Either we find Caylee alive, which is going to help you out extremely by telling us the truth, or we find Caylee not alive, which, if you start telling us the truth, might still paint you in a better picture. But here's where it needs to end. Here's where the truth needs to come out, okay? No more lies, no more bull coming out of your mouth. We've been very respectful. We're taking our time and talking to you. But we're tired of the lies. No more lies. What happened to Caylee?
I don't know.
You do know. What happened to Caylee?
I don't know where she is. That is the God's honest truth.
Where was she the last time that you put her somewhere? Where was she?
The last time I saw her was on those steps at that apartment that I took you to this morning. The same apartment that I took the other officers to last night.
But you didn't give her to anyone. You didn't give her to anyone while you were there. See, we're pulling. No, because listen to me. We're even pulling surveillance video from an apartment complex, and they have to keep this by law for several days, okay? And we're not seeing you over there. We're not seeing you there at all that day. Do you think that we're stupid and we're not going to do all this stuff? Okay, we're not seeing you there. So now, if you're not there and you're not being seen there, and somebody's already saying that you're not there, and everything else you've told us is a lie, that's telling me. Remember we had those two people that we were talking about, the person who had an accident or made a bad decision, and a person who's just a cold-blooded, callous monster? That's telling me that you are the second person, this cold-blooded, callous monster who doesn't care and doesn't want to help because she's afraid that something so heinous happened that everyone's going to look at her and say, she's a monster, she deserves to go away, she deserves to never see the light of day, this bad thing should happen to her. I don't want to believe that right now, but you're giving me no choice. You understand you're giving me no choice. This is going to be the opportunity that you have right now. No matter how heinous you think that what happened was to Caylee, this is your opportunity to tell us. This is going to be your only opportunity to tell us. Because what's going to happen, we're going to find out. There's not going to be a question, we're going to find out. Okay? We've got so many resources on this right now, just like I told you would happen, that what we're trying to do is prove your story, but everything that we've done is disproving your story. Every single thing. Everything you've told us, we've shown you have lied about it. Casey has lied about it, and we're looking for your child. We got to throw these lies out, okay? All these lies are out. We know that everything you told us is a lie. Tell us what happened to Caylee. Tell us what happened to Caylee.
I dropped off Caylee. And that's the last time that I've seen her. I dropped her off.
Where did you drop her off?
I dropped her off at that apartment.
No, you didn't.
That's exactly where I dropped her off.
And who'd you drop her off to?
With Zanny.
No, you didn't.
She's the last person.
No. That's not true.
Did Zanny give you any money that day?
No. I would not have sold my daughter. If I wanted to really just get rid of her, I would have left her with my parents and I would have left. I would have moved out. I would have given my mom custody.
What about the baby's daddy's parents? Would you have left them with them too?
I haven't talked to them since we were probably 6 or 7 years old, since we were little kids. That was probably the last time
You don't
that
have
I
a
saw
phone
or
number
talked
for
to
them?
them. No, I do not. I would not have let anything happen to my daughter except I made the mistake of trusting another person with her. That's it.
No.
Whoa.
Stop. You've made a lot more mistakes by that, because everything that you've told us, every single thing, from the point that you opened your mouth to the police officer this morning to right now, everything has been a lie. We're sitting at Universal Studios because of a lie. We've got all these other people in the station right now talking to us because of a lie. We've got all these other apartment buildings that we've got people that had to go check on because of a lie. Okay? We need to stop this lie. Your mother has called me countless times today, okay? And that's why my phone keeps going off. Countless times, because your mother knows, your father knows, everyone around you knows that you have lied completely and absolutely from the get-go. Everyone knows. Why you're not coming out with it and why you're not telling us the truth, no one has an answer to. The only person that has an answer to that is you. And this is what we're trying to implore upon you. You need to tell us the truth about what happened to Caylee. It's not that she was with someone and you didn't call. That's not the truth.
It is the truth.
That's not the truth. You need to tell. No, it's not the truth. See, we can't get past that unless you go ahead and tell us the truth.
There's nothing to get past because that is the truth. If there was anything else,
let's get past
this. Happen.
Let's get past how we got to Universal Studios. Let's get past why you talked to your daughter yesterday on the phone. Having no idea where she's at and having not seen her for 5 weeks, and you didn't call anybody. Did you just think that one day she's just going to show up at your house?
No, I sat around yesterday trying to figure out what to do. I'm glad that I ended up seeing my mom, that all of that stuff happened. It happened for a reason, because
you're glad you saw your mom. Let me ask you this. You could have saw your mom 5 weeks ago and said, Mom, I don't know where. You could have called your mom 5 weeks ago.
I was
what has
scared.
happened?
I saw my mom's reaction right off the bat, and it would have been the same from the get-go.
Well, so you're more afraid. So wait a minute. So you're more afraid of your mom's reaction than you are if you ever see your daughter again?
You know, I'm absolutely petrified. Absolutely petrified. I know my mom will never forgive me. I'm never going to forgive myself. Because there's that chance that I might not see Caylee again, and I don't want to think about that.
Well, let me ask you, how, by lying to us and sending us all these wild goose chases, hold on a minute, okay? I want you to tell me, okay, this is is it that there's some other thing more important in your life right now that maybe you just weren't really focused on what you were saying when you told us, so you kind of just accidentally told us you had an office here and we needed to be here because we might find stuff that would help, or did you lie to us purposely, or did you purposely mislead us? Which of those two is it?
I purposely misled.
Okay, so you purposely misled us. This was all an attempt to help find your daughter, right? That makes sense to you, correct?
Again, in a backwards sort of way, yes.
In a backwards sort
I'm
of way.
coming back to places that are familiar to me, that I know are familiar to her. Familiar situations that maybe would help. She's almost 3.
She's almost 3. What, do you think she's going to take a cab here? I mean,
I know
how do you think she's going to get here?
Because she's with someone else. If I could find her,
She's
if I
with
could
someone
track
else.
her down,
She's
this wouldn't
with,
be happening.
okay, hold on a second. Let's put this together where it makes sense, okay? She's with someone else who's hid her from you for 5 weeks.
Yes.
Who let her call you on the phone yesterday, but then hung up. But you brought us here today because she might be here.
She could be anywhere.
Well, that's true, but why here? Why would it, let me ask you this, okay? Why would a person who has hid your daughter from you for 5 weeks, okay, bring her to the building that you used to work at? I mean, did you think you'd walk in here, she'd be sitting in the lobby, or? Okay, well, you brought us here to find her, right? Because you thought, maybe in some weird sort of, I think what you said, a backwards way, that we find her here, that this would help. So I'm asking
Maybe
you.
Maybe she's been here within the last 5 weeks. Maybe they have something from up front, her coming through the turnstiles. I don't know.
So you think that this person who's hid her from you for 5 weeks, okay, that had her call you on the phone yesterday and tell you about this book she was reading, then hung up, would bring her to Universal Studios, and in this office in particular?
Not in this office.
Well,
Coming
this
to
is
this
where you
office.
brought us. You didn't take us to the turnstiles, did you? You brought us here, right?
You're right.
Okay. Now, when you told him about these other places that were wrong earlier today, that was also an attempt to help us find her, right?
These are other places that I've gone to and either seen Caylee
Right.
or I know that her nanny has been to.
And you were completely truthful with them about all
Yes.
of it.
I was completely truthful about those places that we've been to. I've been to those steps. That's where I've dropped
No,
off
I'm not
my
talking
daughter.
about the steps. Okay, what about
I'm
these
talking
other?
about the other places. The other houses, I know.
The old
I've
folks
been-
home?
Not the old folks home.
Oh, so that was not really all the way true.
I know Zanny has been to the old folks home.
Yeah,
I've
but you
never
pointed
been.
out the third floor window, and you said, "Well, that's what's her name's bedroom, and Zanny's bedroom is right below, is on the other side." That's what you told me. So that was a lie.
That was a lie.
And that was going to help find her how? Telling a line about that bedroom and where Zanny's bedroom is, that was going to help find her how? Huh?
It's not helping.
But then why would you do it? Because that's what we're here for, right? Find her.
I don't know what else to do anymore. If I knew where she was, if something
Well, let me
would have
ask you
happened,
this.
I would have admitted that a long time ago.
Do you believe thinking up more lies to tell us will help us?
Is your daughter in a better place?
No, she's not.
Are you worried about her?
I'm absolutely petrified. If she was with her family right now, she'd be in the best place. She's not. She's with someone that I absolutely do not trust. And that I'm absolutely scared that
That you don't trust yet was babysitting your daughter for a year.
I
now.
don't trust her now because of what happened.
What point did you stop trusting her?
The moment that her phone was cut off and I couldn't get in contact with my daughter.
So you thought then, man, something ain't right.
Something's wrong.
And when you started thinking that something was wrong, which police agency did you call first? Us or the city police, or who did you call first? Who did you go to for help first to help try to find her?
No one.
Oh, no, okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
I can't think of anything else that I can say that's going to convince you on how to do the right thing.
Let me talk to you outside about the surveillance tapes, and maybe I have to sit here with it for a little bit.
I'm going to leave that on if you want to turn it off
No,
yourself.
it's fine. You want some water or something?
No, I'm fine.
No, you good?
My one goal is, regardless of how it happens, like I said, I don't care. I will lie, I will steal, I'll do whatever I can to find my daughter.
Well-
I put that in my statement, and I mean that with all of my heart.
I know, but we don't want you to lie because
No.
we work off of truth.
I know that.
And we want to find your daughter as much as you do. And I don't think you're a monster or anything like that. I think you might have some pressures in your life. Who exerts the most pressure on you? Like my parents used to do me.
My mom does. Absolutely.
Does she not think you care for your daughter good enough, or?
It's
Is
come up
it's
before.
rough being your single mom.
Living
Gotta
at
be
home with
rough.
my parents.
Got to be rough. You'll never live up to your mother's expectations, right?
At least not right now.
Right.
But that in no way means that I would ever do anything or let any harm come to that child. She's the one thing in this world that I love more than anything.
And I understand that, and I believe it. I see the tears in your eyes. Okay. My concern is I know from my years of experience, I know what young adults and young moms and dads can do when parents exert too much pressure on them. They don't live up to their standards. They don't. So, not that you would hurt your child, but you might, because if your parent just constantly talks down on you, makes you feel like crap, you're not good enough.
It's not constant. I've brought that on myself. The stuff that she says, the thing that she said, she's been right about everything.
What kind of things does she say?
She told me that I took advantage of her, and she's right, because
And
I
how?
had for a very long time.
How did you take advantage of her?
By using credit cards. When I had my own money, I still used some of her money. I went and bought material things for nothing.
Right.
Whether it was things for myself, went out to eat,
Right.
spent a little bit of time with friends, or went and took Caylee shopping. For whatever
Okay.
reason, I was extremely selfish.
Right.
I was extremely selfish for a few years, quite a few years.
What about, I don't know anything about this. Like I told you before, I was just sitting at my desk and he said, hey, come on. Something about a car at Amscott.
My
What
car
was up
ran out
with
of
that?
gas. I was driving actually to
Your
different
car?
places. My car, yes.
Okay.
Car that I bought for my brother 3 years ago.
Okay.
Sucks because I ran out of gas. My gas gauge is obviously reading wrong. The sensor could be wrong.
Right.
It showed I had half a tank of gas and it was empty.
When did it run out of gas? But before or after your baby was missing?
I was definitely after.
Yeah.
I was definitely after.
And it
was
ran out of gas in the
after.
parking lot of that check cashing store?
No, it was right at the corner of Goldenrod and 50. As you can turn, you get in that merging lane where Sam's is and the Amscott.
Right.
As you're going to get on to Goldenrod from 50, that's where my car stalled, right there. So I had to get out. 2 guys helped me push it into that parking lot.
Okay.
And I left 2 notes on the car, even saying I was going to come back and put gas in it.
Why is your mother saying that's her car? Or is she? Is that what I
It's
heard?
still in my parents' name. It was
Oh.
my brother's car. He ended up, that was the car they bought my brother in high school.
Okay, so they bought,
He bought the car, he paid off the car.
And he
then
sold it to
he
you?
sold it to me, yes.
but not officially with
No,
the title transfer.
my parents kept the title, whether for insurance purposes or whatever else. They still kept it in their name.
Oh, okay. So the fact that it was at the check cashing place is just coincidental because you ran out of gas.
Because I ran out
It's
of
not
gas
like
there.
you
It
went
wasn't
there
on
to
purpose.
cash a check. You
No, I didn't go
in
there
the
to
store.
cash a check. No, I didn't go into the store.
Right.
I wasn't abandoning my car.
Right,
It just happened circumstantially. I ran out of gas.
right.
I had to call my boyfriend Tony to come and pick me up.
Well, if you were in our shoes, what could we do to help you find your child?
I don't know.
What more can we do? Do you have a computer at home? Did you ever send, what's the nanny's name?
Zanny.
Did you ever send her any emails, or
Her
did she
email accounts bounced back. I've tried twice. I
But
tried
she
twice
did-
this morning.
have
She
you-
had email.
Even when y'all were in good times, would she send emails back and forth?
On occasion, we would talk
Okay.
online, not usually through email.
So we might be able to track her.
If I check my logs, we could probably find her through instant messaging. Even.
What would be great is if we could have our forensic computer guy
Mhm.
take your computer with your permission and search it, and he can probably track her by her AOL or whatever account, and maybe see, because she's going to set up another account somewhere wherever she
Oh,
goes.
yeah. She's gonna
Would that
set
be
up
something
another
you'd be
account.
willing to do?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
As I know that I have documentation on my computer somewhere. I have
Okay.
to.
Well, he can find it. What he does, he makes a copy of what's on your computer, so you don't lose anything on your
Yeah.
computer.
That way you can just pull it.
And then he
And
can
go
search
through
through it,
everything.
and maybe there's some clues there as far as where this lady has gotten off to. And when she was watching your baby, for the year and a half,
Almost 2 years.
almost 2 years, was she always in that same building?
She'd been at a house over in Andover Lakes for a while. That was one of the main places.
Was it
that she
her
was
house, or was
living.
it the one she was
No,
sharing?
it was a friend's house.
So it probably wasn't in her name?
No, it was not.
Is that one of the addresses Yuri had?
No.
Do you
Never
know that
went to
address?
house. I do not know the address.
Andover Lakes, where's that?
Off of Dean and Crayford.
Okay, that's out by, there's a McDonald's out that
Waterford,
way?
yeah. That's the newer thing.
Do you remember how to get to that house? So we could get the address, maybe do a title search, or? But she was probably just renting a room, or?
I think she's just renting a room there for a while. She had a couple of the roommates. I know the house wasn't in any of their names. I think they were just running through.
Did you know any of those roommates?
I have names. I have 2 names for them, but nothing.
Have you given them to Yuri?
Yes.
Okay. What were those names?
Raquel Farrell and Jennifer Rosa.
Okay. You had any contact with them?
No.
Have any way of getting a hold of them, cell phone?
I
number?
never really talked to them much anyway. I think I probably saw them maybe a handful of times.
Right.
Their schedules were completely opposite of mine. They were never really anybody that I met besides just in passing. Even with the boyfriend that Zenaida had last year, I saw
Right.
him maybe twice.
Right.
They only dated a couple months. It was never anything serious. She never had him around Caylee or the other children she had babysat, so it was never an uncomfortable situation. But this is so heart-wrenching because there was never a sign, never a single sign that this was going to happen.
Right. Do you know where she was from? With a name like Zoraida or whatever?
Zenaida.
Zenaida?
She's mixed. She's Puerto Rican and her father's black. She's from New York. From what I've been told, that's where she was born. She lived in Miami. She went to U of F. And
You said you went to Colonial High School. Did you go to college afterwards? or-
Valencia.
Valencia? How many years at Valencia?
About a year and a half.
Year and
I
a
got my
half.
event planning certificate.
Yeah. Oh, and that's when you got hired on here at,
Well, I got that outside of all of this. I just wanted to do event planning, period, and working occasional events even before actually coming to the event department, even
Right.
part-time or as a seasonal employee. It was just something I always wanted to do anyway.
right.
So,
When you were growing up, you take any medicines or anything?
No.
No. Your baby take any medicines? Didn't she need any medicine?
not at all.
She's good health?
She's had one cold and it lasted 2 days her entire life.
Yeah. Wow.
She's been extremely healthy.
Pediatrician. Who's your baby's pediatrician?
Dr. Silva?
Did these chairs aren't very comfortable. It gets lean way back.
Exactly, I'm not comfortable alone.
I feel like I'm leaning way back. Did the nanny ever take
No.
baby to the doctor?
The only people that were on the list was myself and both of my parents. And my dad had come with me to a couple of visits. My mom, I think, came to one. It was usually just Caylee and I.
Favorite places to go? I guess Universal was one of them.
Well, as a theatrical thing, of course, but
Right.
she liked J. Blanchard Park, going to Lake Underhill and walking around the lake.
Whereabouts in the park did she like the best?
The playgrounds. She
Yeah.
liked to just attempt to run around Lake Underhill. She liked to go and walk the big trail at J. Blanchard Park, the
Yes,
Yukon Trail.
that's a big
She
trail.
loved that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just finished walking that trail. That's where the jogger was killed, I believe.
Mhm.
It's a pretty park.
My mom didn't want me going out there to run for that reason.
Yeah.
She didn't even want me running on the outside of our neighborhood around Chickasaw for the longest time because of that.
I'm trying to think, when you pull into the park, is the playground off to the right if you're looking at
There's
the creek
two
or the river?
playgrounds.
Which one did she play at?
She's played at both of them, but usually the bigger one that's down towards where the Y is.
Right. That's the one she liked the most?
Yeah. Because there's more things to climb on, and for her to run around, there's usually a lot more little kids.
Yeah.
So, and there's swings.
When was the last
Swings
time she was there?
The last time I know that she was there was the end of May. I took her in April a couple times. I've taken her a
Okay.
few times myself this year. The last time that I know that she went with someone other than myself was the end of May.
End of May. And you last saw her June the 9th?
On Monday.
Do you remember what y'all did on June the 8th?
It's the
I
Sunday.
can't think of what I did, but anything significant?
I think I might have been at Tony's. I think my mom took Caylee up to see her parents in Mount Dora. She either took her up there that Saturday
What's
or that
Tony's?
Sunday. It's my boyfriend's apartment.
Oh, okay. Mount Dora.
It's just north of Apopka.
Yeah. So that was like a day visit?
For my parents, or for my mom, yeah. When
Yeah.
my mom goes up there, even just by herself or with my dad, or if I go up there with her, it's usually just...
Your mom will go,
for the
that's your current boyfriend, right? Is that what you said? So your mom will go there and she
No,
likes
my mom
him?
will go up to Mount Dora to see her parents.
Oh, okay. And your boyfriend just happens to live with her too. They're not.
No, he lives off of University.
Oh. Okay, I got you. So your baby went up there with your mom to see her parents.
See her great grandparents.
Yeah. How old are they?
Wow, my grandfather's I think 88 maybe,
Wow.
and my grandmother's probably 82, 83.
Hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
I am an interview, Meg. That's my partner. He's going on a cruise to Bahamas, I think.
Nice.
Was that 3 day, 4 night, or
Usually.
4 day, 3 night, or something like that?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I guess, but I don't like boats. So, man, I just don't know everything that was asked of you, and I just don't know. I mean, you're our biggest help. You're going to be our biggest help in solving this.
I have nothing to go off of. That's the problem. I have perspective ideas of maybe where she could go, but at
Tell
the
me.
same time, she could have gone back up to New York. She could have gone up to Jacksonville, where we have a friend. Could have gone down to Miami, where her mom and her sister live now. She could have gone anywhere.
Did she have any children?
No.
And we're talking about the babysitter, right? She didn't have any children?
No.
Could she have children? Is
I'm-
it something that she could have done?
I'm pretty sure that she could. That was never anything that came up, but I mean,
Did she ever,
Really
when you
sure
look
she
back,
told me.
did she ever make any funny, like I love this child, I wish you were mine, or anything like that? Or
never that I had witnessed or anybody else had ever told me. She used to just say how much she loved Caylee and that she was such a good kid. And, she was very, very proud of how she was being raised.
Right.
It was always good praise, but more of things that I've heard from other friends. Nothing that sounded out of the ordinary, that it was ever strange or weird.
Right.
But then this just happened. She was nonchalant with me the morning of. Everything was perfectly fine.
And when you would call, like you would drop baby off in the morning or for the day, or was it because you had to go to work and she was watching?
Mhm.
Would you call during the day? Call her up during the day?
I would
Sarah?
always call and check on Caylee or send a text message, or if I was online, just to make sure that everything was okay, or she would occasionally call me. Just
Can
to
you
let
get
me talk
online
to
here at
Caylee.
work? Can you send text messages from work?
I usually just use my phone.
Oh, okay.
I usually text use my computer, instant message from, anywhere else where I have access.
Well, once again, I mean, that phone, I'm not an electronic geek, but I mean, the phone might have some valuable clues in there that can help us try to track down maybe
The
that.
bad thing is it only saves 20 calls at a time. And text messages, it only saves the messages that I receive. It doesn't show anything that I sent. That's why I pulled up a list of stuff for them.
Is that a Boost phone?
No,
What
it's
is
a
that?
Nokia. It's an AT&T phone. It's probably one of the cheapest, crappiest, simplest phones.
But
you
the
could
phone,
possibly
but
get.
the phone company, your service will have your telephones itemized for
Yeah,
everyone you
I have
made,
everything,
right?
but-
Incoming and outgoing, right?
Incoming and outgoing. The thing is,
Do you have those itemized bills for?
I printed off the ones for July.
Did you give them to Yuri?
Mhm.
Okay.
We did last night. Actually, I put them on a zip drive form. I gave him my zip drive that has pictures,
Okay.
and it has 2 different Word documents. One that has my text messages, one they were sent to what number,
Mhm.
and ones that I've received. It didn't show the actual message itself, but it at least showed text message sent at this time to such and such number.
Right.
Same thing with the phone list. I just need to go back on the Singular website and find the other months.
Right.
As I know, she's had at least 3 different phone numbers in the last almost 4 years that I've met her.
Mhm.
And I know that she was on 2 different phone plans. at
And she's lived
different
in
times.
2 different places since
Well,
did you know of?
She's lived in a
Since
couple
she's been
different
watching
places.
your child?
No, she's lived just in Orlando since I've met her. But she had just
In the
moved to-
Andover Lakes. Was she watching your baby there?
Yeah.
And then in the whatever this other place is, or?
There was another apartment that she had been in probably right about the time that I met her.
Mm-hmm.
It's Alafaya Club Apartments.
Does Yuri know all that?
Mm-hmm.
Alafaya Club apartment. So
She'd only lived there for a few months. I think Caylee probably was only there maybe once or twice.
Did she live in the apartment that you dropped her off at the steps? Was that one of the ones she lived in, or was that?
That was one of the places where we had met up a couple different times. I actually have a couple friends that live in that complex, so does she.
Okay.
A good friend of mine from high school still lives there. He has a one-bedroom apartment
Do you know
right
who,
around the corner.
Do you know who her friends were in there, where they lived, or names, or anything
I
like
do
that?
not. She used to talk about people all the time, but would never use specific names or really go into any detail about anything. And again, it never seemed weird. Some people are just very particular about giving out details or specific details about other people. So I understood all of that, but looking back at stuff now, the privacy, the way she was a little bit changing phones, and it didn't seem right whatsoever.
Right.
So looking back at any place that I know that she had ever gone to, or that again would seem familiar for me, that maybe I've gone to meet her, to drop off Caylee or to pick up Caylee for whatever reason, we'd find neutral places sometimes, or I'd go and pick her up at a grocery store if that's where they were, to try to make it a little bit easier.
If we found a nanny today and we found your baby, what's the next biggest hurdle for you in your life as far as who's it? Maybe explaining something to somebody, or what's the next biggest concern? I know your major concern now is finding your baby.
Honestly, that's all I care about at this point, and I'll take that necessary step with whatever. With you know.
Who would that be? I mean, who's going to be the next hurdle in your life as far as trying to explain that no, I'm not a neglectful mother. I'm not, is it going to be your mom?
No, it's going to be saying that and proving that to myself every day. My mom flat out told me yesterday she will never be able to forgive me, and I even told her I'm never going to be able to forgive myself. Every day I've been beating myself up about this. Every single day.
Right.
Not knowing where to go, what to do, running in circles, literally. Because it's all I can do at this point.
Right.
Even if I would have had my car in the perfect condition, under perfect conditions, it wouldn't have mattered. Where would I have gone? Just driven around for nothing? That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I just, I would hope this would never happen to you again, but I think if it ever happened again...
I would never let this happen again.
The very first phone call should be to the police.
Absolutely be to the police.
Because we have so many resources.
I wouldn't hesitate to talk to my parents this time if something happened. I mean, I learned the biggest lesson from all this. I made the greatest mistake that I ever could have made as a parent, and I even, told Yuri that this morning, and he said he couldn't disagree.
Right.
You all right?
No, I'm just going to stand up and stretch my leg. Well, I know you've been in here a long time. Appreciate you talking to us and whatnot.
I'm sorry I've given you guys the runaround.
We're not trying to be big scary guys. We're just trying we're just trying to make sure we get accurate information so we have something to work off of.
I understand that. I just wish I honestly had more things to help with. We've talked about going through my computer, maybe trying to find past conversations through Instant Messenger or through emails, something.
Okay.
I'll offer up my computer in a heartbeat. Just like with my phone logs and everything else, anything that could possibly help. That's why we've set up websites and have been making phone calls and trying to get a hold of people. I had such a limited number of people that I was actually trusting at that point, thinking maybe they could help, maybe they'd have some insight. I didn't want to involve a bunch of people that maybe didn't know the situation. The biggest mistake was not calling you guys right off the bat. I understand all of that. It's the biggest slap in the face, and I did that to myself. But the worst of all, I've done this to my daughter by allowing her to still be with someone else.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about that. By failing to notify somebody, right? I'm glad you acknowledged that. But by failing to notify somebody, you put your daughter at greater risk.
Even bigger risk.
You put your daughter in terrible danger by just letting this drag out for 5 weeks and not telling anybody. That's you're right. I'm not going to argue with you there.
No.
Okay. You want to head back to the office? get outside, I want to bring this Zanny up on the, I'm going to put that name in David and see what we get. Better take a look, make sure we're...
Both of my parents were even saying to try to figure out other names if she went by something else.
Let me just go ahead because this is still running. I noticed it. Raise your right hand for me, just like this morning.
Yes.
You swear everything you told me is the truth now about the lies
Yes.
and everything else? Okay.